Yes. Okay.
Yes, okay. So there are some principles for effective classroom communication. First, communication effectiveness of classroom communication depends on five major factors. What are those? Teacher, student, message, instructional method and media, and learning environment. So these are the five factors which are very important for effective classroom communication. Now, the principles of effective communication, classroom communication have been discussed under the following headings. So these are the four principles that we will do. First one is principle for teacher, and second principles for message design, principles for selection of instructional methods and media, principles for creating conducive learning environment. These are the four principles. Now see all of these one by one. First one is
Ma'am,
teach.
can you show that slide once, ma'am, please? The previous slide. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Now, principle for teachers. For effective communication, what do you think? What a teacher can do on his side for effective classroom communication? Anything in your mind you can share.
Make the session interactive, ma'am.
Yes. And how? How will the teacher make the session interactive?
Asking questions.
Hmm. Yes.
Encouraging responses, ma'am, whether right or wrong, encouraging them to answer and participate actively.
Right. Let's see. A teacher should have the following qualities. What are those qualities? Develop a realistic self concept and a perception about surrounding. This requires analysis of one's strengths and weaknesses, acceptance of reality, and efforts to realize one's potential. So, what this point tells us about is that if you are a teacher, then you approach your teaching profession with a sorry, not. It means that you need to be self aware of yourself and of your surrounding also. If you are aware of what your weakness is and what your strength is, only then you will be able to teach effectively. You for example, you are a teacher and you know that uh, you can explain complex topics in very simple and easy way. This is your strength. Now if you are aware of it, then you can take advantage of this. And if you are aware of your weakness also, like you cannot handle students when they uh, start creating disturbance in the class, then this is your weakness. Now you can put your efforts into this also once you are aware. So this is what all this point says. And in the second point, develop proficiency in the subject matter. Desire to acquire knowledge is a must for the teacher. So teacher need to be a lifelong learner. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. So it means that your dedication to lifelong learning will also inspire students. They will also admire your personality. And if you have yourself that desire, only then you can communicate that desire into your students also. And third is understand the learners. You should know about what the students' background, what are their interests, and what is their learning style, so that you know that how can you teach them. And you should know their individual needs, because each student is unique and they may require different approaches to learn, and to help them reach their full potential, we should understand the learners. Next is develop effective communication skills, both verbal and non-verbal. So verbal is also essential, and along with that, non-verbal should also be. We should also develop this communication skill over time. Also, like if a teacher has a closed body language, then students will not be. Students might hesitate to ask questions. But if a teacher has open body language, then students won't hesitate to ask questions. So this is also possible. So communication skills are essential. Knowledge about pedagogy and andragogy. Now these two terms, who knows about pedagogy and andragogy? Anybody? Am I audible?
Is it
Yes, ma'am.
student centric and teacher centric? Something like that.
It's not related to teacher centered and student centered. Actually, the word pedagogy means it's related to children. Pedagogy is used for teaching to children, and andragogy is related to teaching to adults. So we can say that art and science of teaching to children, it's pedagogy, and art and science of teaching to adults means using different teaching methodologies and strategies. For children is pedagogy, and for adults is andragogy. Then adopt flexible approach. It means some children learn through visually seeing things more, and some learn through uh, learn by listening, some learn by experimenting or doing things on their own. So so everybody learns on their own way, in different way. So a teacher should be adaptable to the needs of the student, and the approach should be flexible, which can be, it means that it can be adaptable at the time. Being objectives and unbiased. So teacher should not be biased in the classroom. He should give important equal importance to all the students. Now after principles for teachers, next are principles for message design. The message should have following characteristics. First is clear and specified objectives. So first point is about objectives. Objectives should satisfy the criteria of SMART, smart. So S stands for specific. Now the objective of the teaching should be, of the message should be clear and well defined, and it should be specific. And measurable means that we can assess whether learning goals have been achieved or not. It should be measurable. And achievable. Achievable means it should be realistic, and those goals that are made should be attainable within the given time. Realistic means achievable, realistic. So these are like same. Just a minute.
No, ma'am, it is like achievable. It means, for example, you are aiming at weight loss. So Or 2 kgs a month is achievable, ma'am.
Right.
Realistic. So if they say 10 kg weight loss, it is not achievable and it's not realistic also, like that, ma'am.
Okay, so yes. So these are like closely related, achievable and realistic, right?
So they get demotivated. That's what they say, ma'am. So if they don't, these things are not included. If they, for example, getting up, the person who gets up at 6 a.m. can get up at 5:44 or 5:30. If he puts it at 4 o'clock, he will never get up and he will get disappointed and they give up totally, ma'am. That's what they say,
Okay,
like that.
okay. Okay, so it should be achievable as well as realistic, as well as framed means it like deadline to create sense of urgency. So this is how the objective should be, objective of the message. Then next point is relevant to the objectives content. Content should be relevant to the objective. And next point, properly sequenced. So the content should be properly sequenced. Means like already you may have already studied this in your teaching aptitude class, that this sequence, like simple to complex, easy to difficult, concrete to abstract, known to unknown, observation to reasoning. And then, so in the first point, objective should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time frame. And in second point, the content of a message of the message should be related to the objective. It should be relevant, and it should be, then in the next point, it should be organized in a logical and systematic manner for learning progression, the content. And then in the next point, use language comprehensible to the learners. So in this, like using language that is clear and that is appropriate for the students, for the learners at their level of understanding for them. And use appropriate symbols along with the content, like whatever you have. So symbols should also be there, and include relevant exercise. So for example, in our school also, when at the end of every chapter we used to have exercise, or in maths we used to have worksheet, all these, whether it's English, Hindi, maths, or science. So after the main content there should be exercise also. Make generous use of examples and non-examples. For example, if a teacher is teaching geometry in the class, then they can show what a rectangle is by showing the board or the bench or other things, and also show what a rectangle note is by showing circle, or other by showing cube, all these. So teacher should make use of both examples as well as non examples also. Then principles, after principles of message design, principles for selection of instructional media, method and media. Select relevant and appropriate methods and media. Means the selecting those methods and media that align with the learning objectives and our content and need for the and that we need for learning, for teaching. Second, use variety of methods and media in order to cater to the individual differences among learners and to avoid monotony, a variety of methods and media should be used by the teacher. So, as I gave an example previously, that some students learn by doing, some students learn by uh, visually seeing, or some students learn better by uh, listening, some learn better by writing themselves and studying themselves, or so everybody learns by different ways. So teacher should add variety of methods and media so that everybody their individual differences can be taken care of, and it also avoids monotony, and it will be more interesting. Use good quality media. Good quality should be there. Like if you are using audio visual aid, then the quality of the video and should be good. Integrate media in teaching learning. Media should not be used in isolation. So yes, only media should not be used. Along with that, teacher can explain, teacher can teach, along with that media can be used. Then next principle is principle for creating conducive learning environment. Classes should not be overcrowded. What will happen if the classes are overcrowded?
No individual attention, ma'am. First problem.
Yes. And students won't be able to actively participate. All the students won't be able to participate in the discussion going on in the class. And yes, individual attention won't be there. Ensure proper sitting arrangement in the class and build rapport with the students. Means teacher should maintain the positive relationships. Just a minute, please. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry for the disturbance. And so we were on third point. So a teacher should maintain positive relationship with the students where students feel comfortable, and if they have any question or they have any doubt, then they can express themselves and ask questions. Then feedback mechanism, it should work both ways. So feedback should be from teacher to students also, like teacher should also ask questions and teacher can take test quizzes, and from student to teachers also, to make sure that they have they have understood the teacher and the way of teaching and everything, the concept, everything. Then next is encourage experimentation. So when you in, when you encourage experimentation, then it it makes student curious, and makes them think critically. Then encourage cooperation and healthy competition. Encourage and health, so healthy competition should be there, and along with all the students should be cooperative with each other. Provide reinforcement. So teacher should give feedback and as well as reward, or verbally teacher can praise or give small prize for reinforcement. Provide non-threatening environment. So the environment of the class should be open, and it should not be threatening, like where teacher students are afraid to communicate with teacher. So are these principles clear to you, principle, or these four principles clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. Next are models of communication. Three models that we are going to discuss. First, linear model, second, transactional model, and third, interactional model. So linear model in which there is no feedback, it's just linear, one way. And transactional is both two way, where there is feedback. And interactive, it's related to online model. Then in linear model, Aristotle model is the oldest one, which was which came in 300 BC, and then Lauswell's model, then Shannon and Weaver model, and Berlow's SMCR model. So these are the four linear model. And then in transactional model, Barland's model and Dance helical model. And in interactive model, we will do Osgood Scram's model. These are we, these are the models that we will do. First one is linear model. As you can, this is one way communication. So in linear model, there is no feedback, and this is one way communication model. Mostly used mostly used in mass communication. No feedback. In this model, concept of noise is only present in Shannon and viewer, very important. In linear model, there is no concept of noise, only and only explained by Shannon and viewer. So initially, it will be a little hard to remember these, but when you revise again and again, then you will be able to learn these names. As you can see in the picture that there is source means the receiver, and okay, we will do this later in this, while when we will be doing these models, then we will do. No, don't see this example, this picture for now. Advantage of linear model is it directly influences the audience mentality. Like in mass communication, linear model is used. Like for example, in newspaper, radio, television. So where there is a large audience, their linear model is used. So it directly influences the audience mentality. And there is a higher possibility of the audience accepting the speaker's word without any question. So we trust whatever the newspaper says. Limitation of linear model is it becomes difficult to estimate how much impact the speaker's words are having on the audience. So here the impact is created, but we can't measure this, that how much impact has been created. This is limitation. And also what can be the limitation, that there is no feedback. SMERD. In the communication process we have discussed this. So what is S stands for?
Sender, ma'am.
This is communication process as it is, but just feedback is not there. So who was S? Who is S? Sender. And what is M here?
Medium.
So first the message will be
Message.
there,
Yeah.
then the next M will be medium. Sender sends message, encoding,
Encoding, ma'am.
and then medium, and then R,
Receiver.
Receiver.
receiver. Your voice is too low.
Receiver, ma'am.
Okay, let me join again, I think. And D,
Recording.
Recording.
decoding. Yes, now it's fine voice. In linear model, we will see Aristotle model, Lasswell's model, Shannon and Weaver model, Berlow's SMCR model. Remember the names. First of all, Aristotle's model. Let's see. Aristotle's model. This is the very first linear model, or this is the oldest model of communication, which was given by Aristotle. Three elements to improve communication. This Aristotle model tells us about the three elements to improve communication. First is ethos, pathos, third logos. Remember this: ethos, pathos, logos. So ethos means credibility, means people trust you and they listen to you what you say because they trust you and they believe that you're talking right. And pathos means ability to connect with people, ability to emotionally connect with them. Logos, logical argument, giving logical argument, talking about facts. As you can see in the picture, the three main things Three main elements in Aristotle are speaker, speech, and audience. These are the main, and speaker gives the speech, and here the occasion you can understand it by context thing, like occasion you can understand as context. Speech, then audience receives this, listen the speech, and then effect is there, but there is no concept of feedback, no feedback. So the criticism of this model is that there is no feedback and it is one way communication. Concept of noise is not present. Noise is also not explained by Aristotle in this model. This model is only used in public speaking. So when the speaker speaks, then audience listen to it and there is some effect, but the speaker doesn't know the proper feedback from the audience, doesn't receive. Is this model clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay. Next is Laswell's model given by Harold D. Laswell in 1948. Others name of this model are action model, linear model, one-way model. And this model is to analyze mass communication. It was developed to study the media propaganda of the countries and businesses at that time. Criticism, same again, there is no feedback of concept, no concept of feedback, and no noise concept. Very linear and does not consider barrier. So even in this is also linear method. Let's see the main elements. There are five main elements in this: who, says what, channel, to whom, and with what effect. These are the whenever you see these, know that this is Laswell's model. Who means sender, who is sending the message. Says what, message. Channel channel, and to whom, to receiver. With what effect, here feedback should not is not there. Feedback, this is written wrong. With what effect is created, because if feedback word would be appropriate here if it is, if receiver is sending it to sender, but there is the receiver is the feedback is not reaching to sender, so it's not feedback, it's just the effect created. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then next is Shannon and Viewer model, developed by Claude Shannon and Warren Weaver in 1948. After the after Aristotle's model, Laswell model developed this model, and after Laswell's model, Shannon and Weaver uh, made this in 1948. First, to highlight the concept of noise. So this was the only linear model who explained the concept of noise, also known as telephone model. Why this is known as telephone model? Because it was created for telephonic communication initially, for technical purposes. So this is the later form of this model. First we see this one. This was the initial Shannon and Weaver model, where there is source and transmitter. These terms shows that initially it was developed for technical aspect and not for communication, for public people communication. It was developed for technology related things. So first the source, receiver, sender. Source means sender, and source Transmitter. Transmitter. What's the use of transmitter? Anybody?
Transmitter is one type of instrument. From that instrument, going various place. Any instrument from that transmitter to going various.
Transmitter is like when it's human language, then the device cannot understand it, so it converts it into signal. Then these signals are again back converted for in message for us to understand. So transmitter which transmit our message into signal. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Then transmitter through the channel, it reaches to receiver. Then receiver, it reaches to receiver and the message is raised to the destination. And also in the channel, the concept of noise is there. Very important, noise is there. But still there is no feedback here. So it is still one way. But later on, it is developed, and as you can see in this picture that it is more of a adapted form of this model, that sender encodes the message, and in the channel there is noise present, and the decoder, and then receiver, and then receiver gives feedback to sender. So in this picture, according to this picture, Shannon and viewer is two-way model. So somewhere you will see that it is two-way, and somewhere you will see it's one way. So the adapted form is two-way, but initially it was one way. Then after, is this clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you explain it again? I could not
Okay.
get it.
Okay. So see this picture. This is the initially when Shannon and viewer developed, when explained this model, it was for technical purpose. It was not made for communication for people. So initially it was for this. So here you can see shores. Shores. From the shores, the message is being transmitted. The transmitter converts the message into signal forms. Then it goes through the channel, and in channel there can be noise, there is noise present, and through the channel it reaches to receiver. So before reaching to receiver, it is converted again into message form, from signal to message, and then message reaches the destination. So this is one way. Initially it was one way, and then later on it was developed more, and it became two way. So somewhere you will also see that they include Shannon and viewer into transactional model, which is two way. Okay.
How is it, ma'am? Ma'am, actually, we are now learning linear model. So, from this linear model, Shannon and Weber model, one of them. So, we see linear model having no feedback, but here you are saying two-way communication. Can you hear it?
Yes, okay. So somewhere I have seen this thing that somewhere at some places they include Shannon and viewer into transactional model. But for now you just remember that Shannon and viewer is in linear model. Otherwise it will create confusion and there is no feedback. But this is more of adapted form. This diagram is more of adaptation of Shannon and viewer, and this is the initial, the real one. Okay, then next is Barlow's SMCR model. Barlow's communication model. It was developed by David Barlow in 1960 after observing Shannon and Weaver's 1948 model, and it describes the factors influencing communication, and it gives special attention to encoding and decoding in this model. As and there are four main elements in Barlow's SMCR model. SMCR. S is source, M is message, C is channel, and R for receiver. Message is first encodes, sender encodes, and receiver decodes it. What are the criticism of this model? First one, same, there is no feedback. And then it is no two-way. Concept of noise is absent. So concept of noise is only present in which model?
That previous what we studied, na? Yes, Shannon and Weber model.
Yes, Shannon and Weaver model. And is feedback present in linear model?
No,
No feedback present. So is it is one way. Remember in Aristotle model, these three elements, ethos, pathos, logos, and speaker to speech, speaker gives the speech, then speech reaches to audience, and then effect is there. And then in Laswell's model, and this is used for public speaking, Aristotle model. And Laswell's model, it includes main elements are who says what, channel to whom, with what effect, and no concept of noise till now. And now in Shannon and Weaver there is concept of noise, and it is also known as telephone model. So concept of noise is there. Then in Barlow's SMCR there is again no feedback and no concept of noise, and special attention is given to encoding and decoding. These are linear model. If you have any problem in linear model, you can ask.
ma'am, can you give example of Shannon and Weber model?
Example.
Like Aristotle model, we know it used for public mass media.
Okay, and this is used for telephonic communication. Main example is telephonic communication.
Individually telephonic communication. Can we consider that?
Yes, telephonic communication.
Okay.
Otherwise, other examples I will tell you tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Then transactional model. In transactional model, Barland's model and Dance helical model, these two model are there, and it is used in interpersonal communication. In this model, the sender and receiver interchange roles. Like gives the when the sender sends the message, then the receiver gives the feedback, then at that time when the receiver is sending the feedback, then sender becomes receiver and receivers become sender. So they interchange their roles. Feedback is received and it is in the form of a new message. So feedback takes the form of a new message. The concept of noise is present in this model. Concept is noise is also present. Advantages is feedback is received and there is no discrimination between sender and receiver. Limitation is there is often noise present. Noise is present and S and R are referred to as communicators. Sender and receiver are communicators. Barland's model, it was introduced in 1970 for interpersonal communication and it is also known as Berlin transactional model. Other name is Berlin transactional model, introduced in 1970 for interpersonal communication. Then Dance helical model, it was developed by Frank Dance in 1960. So for dance helical, as you can see in the picture, that it's like spiral, like this. When sender sends the message, then there is receiver. Here the sender, then here receiver. And what happens with each message? What happens that once the sender sends the message to receiver, and then when receiver gives the feedback, then sender again improves it. After the feedback, the quality of the message, or we can say our next the statement of sender is improved, so next message is improved, and in this way this goes like this, like a spiral, and at the end, like it goes it keeps going like this, and it becomes broader and broader and broader. So this is the picture of dance helical model. Rest we will do tomorrow. Interactional model. Transactional model clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Revise these.